All right, now we are on Pause and Practice 2-3. Before we begin it, I want you to look at page 125 in your binder, and it says Sum Product Function. And just a quick little explanation there. So the sum product function multiplies the cells that you choose, and then it also adds the products, the results of the multiplication. So that's why it's called sum product. Sum, S-U-M. So now you can turn to page 126 and follow along. For this project, you continue working on the workbook for Paradise Lakes. You calculate totals related to camp attendance and merchandise inventory using functions from the Math and Trig, Financial, Logical, Lookup and Reference, and Date and Time categories. So go ahead and open your Pause and Practice 2-2 and then save it as Pause and Practice 2-3 with your initials. Make sure that it comes up correctly and that you saved it in your completed projects or completed lessons folder. All right, we are on page 127 on number 2. Click the Cass Lake Worksheet tab. Enter an if function to determine if a month's revenue was below average. So you're going to click cell B22, where it's right next to where it says revenue below average, ? And go to the Formulas tab, and then click on the Logical button here, and then select if. Okay, so it opens up this function argument for if. And function argument is just where you put in information that needs to be true or false. So you're going to first click in the Logical Test text box here, and you're going to click cell B11 here, the total revenue, and then you're going to type the less than sign, which is it's shift, and it's the key that also has the comma on it, but when you shift it makes it the less than sign. And then click on K15, so K15 here, average monthly revenue, K15. So you should have B11 is less than K15, and then you press F4 to make it an absolute value, because that is the value we're going to be comparing everything else to. And then click in the Value If True box, and you type yes, ES, and then the Value If False, no, O, and you don't have to type the quotation marks, they are put in automatically. And then click OK. And for April, the answer is yes, and because the revenue for April is below the average. You see, the average monthly revenue is $8,591, and the total revenue for the month of April here is $7,339, and that is less than the average. So click enter or press enter, then go back up to that cell B22 and click the center button. So go to Home, Center. That moves the word yes into the center of the cell. Then drag your fill pointer all the way across to G22, and it goes through and it answers, and you can see May is yes, it's below average. June is also yes, it's below average. Then July, it's above average. See, 9,333 is greater than 8,591. In August, it was 10,764, so that's a no. And then it goes back down to 8,311 in September, so that's a yes. All right, now we're on number 4 on page 127, and in this case we're going to use the SUMIF function to calculate results. So we're going to go to a different worksheet, the PLR camp. Click on that, and the number of attendees is tracked with the camper's ID. So here's the camper ID number, their gender, number of days they were there, and their age. We're going to select cell H4, 4 here, total days by females, and go up to the Formulas tab, and then in the Math and Trig here, click the down arrow for that, and select SUMIF. So they are alphabetical, so you're going to go way SUMIF. All right, and that brings up your function arguments box. And in the range, you're going to select cells, let me move this over a little, select cells B4 to B38 because we are looking for total days by females. So that would be gender. So B4 all the way down to B38, B4 to B38, and then press F4 to make it an absolute reference. Then for the criteria, what you are looking for is whether they are male or female. So you're going to press an F. Doesn't matter whether it's capital F or lowercase. And then in the sum range box down here, we are going to select C4 to C38. So because we're looking for total days by females, so we have females is the criteria here, F, but then we also need to know total number of days. So C4 all the way down to C38. And if you have to do like a really, really long range and it just keeps going and going, you can always like start it and then you can type it in. You don't have to go down like and select it that way. All right, so click OK, and it comes up with 117 as the total days by females. Now, next we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do the total days by males. So click here, go up to the Math and Trig functions. The other thing you can do is just go to Recently Used, and you see SUMIF is the first one. The range, again, is the gender range, so it's all the way from B4 down to B38 to 37, so I have to change that to 38. The criteria, this time, instead of F, it's M for male, and then the sum range is how many days they were there. So we go here, and I don't feel like dragging it all the way down, so I'm going to change this where it says 19, 38, okay, and 76 total days by male. Okay, now we are going to be using the VLOOKUP function to display costs for the Paradise Lakes Resort Boutique merchandise. So we are going to click on the Merchandise tab, and then you go to cell C4 right here, C4 under cost. You see everything is blank there. That's what we're going to be filling in, and we're going to be getting that information from the rates and tables sheet. So you need to click on the Lookup and Reference button right here on your Formulas tab and find VLOOKUP, which is down towards the bottom. I think it's the last one before Insert. So click on that, and it opens up your function argument box, and the first thing you're going to do is click in the Lookup Value box and then select cell A4, so A4, and that is the product ID number. Then you're going to click in the Table Array box, and it's asking you what tab, like where it can find the information that you need. So you're going to click on the Rates and Tables Sheet tab, and you can see that all the information is here, the product ID, the item, and the cost. So you're going to now select A2 to C12, A2 to C12. So basically you're selecting everything except for the header row. And all of that is inserted. And then you need to press F4 to make that range an absolute values. All right, now you're going to be telling it which column you want it to use to find the value that you need. So if you look here, it starts the counting from whatever column is farthest on the left, which is A, of course. So you have 1, 2, and 3. Cost is in the third column. So for the column index number, you type the number 3. And then in the range lookup box down here, you type the word false, L-S-E, and then click OK. And it brings you, when you click OK, it brings you back over to the merchandise tab, and it gives you $8.75 for the cost. Now what you need to do is copy that formula all the way down to C14, which is the last one. So go to your fill pointer, become a plus, and drag it all the way down. It fills in all this information. Okay, so now we are on step 6. Use sum product to calculate inventory values. And remember, I talked about sum product before we started this lesson. So click in cell C16, C16, and that cell is a merged and centered cell. So that's why it looks so wide. Click on the Formulas tab, and then click in the Math and Trig button, and go down, and you want to find sum product, and they are alphabetical, so you can go way down to the bottom. Sum product, here it is, and that opens up your sum product function arguments box, and click in the array 1 box, and in there you are going to select cells C4 to C14, C4, C14, and then you are going to click in the array 2 box, and you're going to select E4, 14, and then so it's going to be multiplying these numbers by these numbers. And you can see the cost, it's multiplying the cost by how many they have. And you're going to click OK, nothing in array 3. So click OK, and it comes up with 134.9. Now you can also do the sum product by typing in. So go down to D17, and now you're going to be looking for the inventory value at retail. So to start the formula, start with, and then you type in SUMP, sum product, and it gives you sum product, and just press tab, and it starts the formula. And you need to do array 1. It's telling you array 1, and see it's kind of bold. So array 1 is D4 to D14. So D4 to D14. And then you type a comma, and now it knows that you are going to be doing array 3. And array 3 is E4 to E14. So E4, it's those in. And then you press enter, and it automatically puts in the closing parenthesis, and the total is 240.32. And then since we're talking about money, you're going to highlight both of these, and you're going to change the number format to accounting. So home, just click on the $sign, puts in the $sign, and it increases the decimal. All right, now we are on step 7, page 128. And we're going to be using the round function. So select cell C19, and it says B19, rounded value at cost. Select C19 and go to your Math and Trig button. So you need to go to Formulas, Math and Trig, and find round. So like I said before, it's alphabetical, so you're going to go pretty far down. Find round, and then in your function arguments, in the number text box, you click cell C16. So C16, where it says 134.90. And then in the num digits text box here, you're just going to type a 0, because you're telling it how you want it to round the value. So then click OK. And it changed it. See, it rounded the 134.90. It rounded it up to 135. Then use your fill pointer and copy the formula down to C20. And in this one, rounded value at retail, and in this case it rounded it down. It went from 240.32 just down to 240, because of course, as you've learned in math class, rounding when it's below 50 cents, you round down. When it's above, you round up. Okay, now Paradise Lakes is trying to determine how much their payments will be for new canoe purchases. So we are on number 8 on page 128, and we're going to use the payment function. So go to the canoes sheet tab here, and then click in cell B7, 7. See, it says payment down there, so B7. So we're going to be calculating the payments for 6 canoes and for 15 canoes. So we have B7 selected, and then we go to the Formulas tab and the Financial button. So here, click down and select Payment. Go way down. Payment is PMT. Here it is. And in your function arguments, in the rate box, you're going to click 6 because it's asking for the interest rate. And then you stay in that box and do the slash for divided by, and then 12 because we want the monthly payment. So we're taking that and dividing it by 12. And then in the N per box, you click B5, which is the number of years to repay, and then times, so that's shift 12, because it's 12 months of the year. And then in the PV box here, PV is the present value, and you click on B4, the loan amount, $4,800, B4. And then in the FV box here, you just leave that blank because that is for the balance at the end of the loan, and we want it to be blank because we want there to be no balance at the end of the loan. And then finally in the type box, you type 1 because the payment will be made on the first day of the month. All right, now click OK, and it comes up with a negative value of $209, and that is because it's money that is being paid out, and this cell was already formatted to show no decimal places. All right, now you're going to type the payment. So click in C7, and this time we are going to be finding the payment amount for 15 canoes for 4 years with an interest rate of 5.25. So do equals, and then type PM, press the tab key to insert the payment formula function, and it shows you down here in the screen tip. The first thing you are going to be putting in is the rate, which is in cell C6, okay? And then again you have to type divided by 12, and then a comma, and the comma takes you to the next argument, which is cell C5, the number of years to pay, and then that is times 12, and then another comma to move on to the next thing, which is PV, which is the present value, is here in C4, and then another comma, which takes you to the FV argument, but we don't want to fill anything in there, so we're going to do another comma, and that takes us to the type argument, and you double click where it says 1 beginning of the period. Double click that to choose it, and then enter, and the payment amount for that is minus 196. And now you are finished, so just press Control Home, save your workbook, close it out.